So in this video I'll show you how to read the charts using volume profile and the basic volume profile shapes. This way you should be able to tell what the chart is telling you, what the volume profile is telling you, and what the price action is likely to do in the future. Alright, so let's get to it. Let's have a look at the basic shapes and what they are telling us in the charts. So before you, this is the euro-dollar chart. It is a 60-minute chart. And those profiles you see there, those are daily profiles, which means that every day a profile gets printed. So if you look at the first one, then this is a thin profile. And as I said in the previous video, thin profiles happen in a trend. So you can see that there is a trend behavior and a thin profile. What happens after a trend is a rotation. A D-shaped profile. This is a D-shaped profile. What is next is another thin profile, which is a sign of trend development. And after a trend, as usual, there's a rotation with D-shaped profiles. So you have a D-shaped profile in here, also in here. And what you can actually do is you can also merge those profiles like this. One big rotation and a D-shaped profile. The next day is a thin profile, another trend behavior, and it is followed by D-shaped profiles. This one and this one. Now this looks like a B-shaped profile, but this is a small exception, and it's very important to remember that when the price closes above 50% of the day, then it is not a B-shaped profile. Alright, it looks like a B-shaped profile, it looks like a sign of sellers, but actually you can see that there was a rotation and then buying activity. So it looks like a B shape, but I don't count it as a B-shaped profile because price action behind B-shaped profile should look, for example, like a trend followed by a rotation. Alright, not rotation followed by a trend. So this is not a proper B-shaped profile. So the next thing is a trend and a thin profile, and next day the price reverses and there is buying activity and another trend and another thin profile. After the trend there is a rotation and a D-shaped profile and another D-shaped profile. And again you can merge those D shapes and you'll see where the center of it is. This is the point of control of this big D-shaped profile. The next day there is a thin profile and then again a thin profile. This was a trend day. This was also a trend day. After the trend there was a P-shaped profile, which usually is a sign of end of a trend. In this case, the price continued downwards, so in this case, the P profile didn't really work. There was sort of weird profile with double distribution. It is a sort of thin profile, but it usually looks like this. There's a place with volume distribution at the top and then volume distribution at bottom. So this is double distribution volume profile, alright? I didn't mention it in the previous video as this profile is not that important, but sometimes it gets printed in the charts and this is how it looks like. So the next profile, D-shaped profile, temporary balance between buyers and sellers. The next day the point of control shifts downwards, but still there's a D-shaped profile. But you can see that the volumes are moving lower. And this indicates that the fair price value the market participants see is shifting downwards. Then there's a rotation, two D-shaped profiles. You can also merge those two to see where the point of control of the rotation is. Alright, one big D-shaped profile with point of control in here. Now there's a thin profile, another thin profile, which kind of looks like a B-shaped profile, but only a bit. And as I said, this really wouldn't be a B-shaped profile because the price shot upwards and it's closing above 50% of the daily range. Alright, so this wouldn't be a B-shaped profile, and still it looks more like a thin profile. Then the price reverses again into another thin profile, another trend development, and then there is a rotation. So again, I'm going to merge those profiles. And this is a D-shaped profile. Then there's another D-shaped profile, and then there is a trend development and a thin profile. After the trend development, there is a B-shaped profile, which indicates that the trend could be over or temporarily over. And after that, there are some D-shaped profiles in here, and in here. All those are D-shaped profiles, and what you can do is you can merge them to see where the point of control of this area is. Alright, here it is. So what happens next is that there is this profile which looks like a B-shaped profile, but it is not a B-shaped profile because the price closes above 50% of the daily range. So this is not a sign of strong sellers. Alright. After that, there's a temporary balance and a D-shaped profile, which is followed by a B-shaped profile, which indicates sellers, aggressive sellers. After that, there's another sort of B-shaped profile. It's not as clear, but I would say that this is also a B-shaped profile, another sign of strong sellers. And by the way, if you look at the price action, you can see those aggressive rejections of higher prices, signs of strong sellers. Then the price shifts downwards into a B-shaped profile. Then there is this double distribution, and after this selling activity, there is a D-shaped profile, which is a sign of a temporary balance between buyers and sellers. So there's a rotation, price is in balance. What happens next is a thin profile, strong trend development, not much time to distribute any volumes. The price is going downwards fast. So you can see that there are no significant volumes within this strong selling activity. After that, the price going to rise again, and there is a thin profile but in the counter trend. Afterwards, there is something like a B-shaped profile, but it's not a B-shaped profile. As you can see, the profile got printed for this whole area, including this candle, this one. And for that reason, it's not a B-shaped profile, because the day closes above the 50% of the daily range. Alright, so it's not a sign of strong sellers, because it's not a B-shaped profile. After that, there's also a thin profile, another thin profile, and then there is a B-shaped profile, which is kind of weird to see in uptrend. and especially when there is no reaction to it. But the reason there is no reaction to it, the reason the price doesn't go downwards, is this failed auction at the top. This works as a magnet. The price tests it. So this is probably why the price didn't go downwards. The price wanted to test above the failed auction. The next day was a temporary balance, a D-shaped profile. And as you can see, there is temporary balance every day. Those are D-shaped profiles, but the volumes are shifted upwards every day, which means that the market value is moving upwards. What happens next is a thin profile, strong buying activity, not much time to accumulate any volumes. But afterwards, the next day, and this is pretty